Hello, everyone. My guest today is Aaron Rubin. He's the founder and CEO of ShipHero. He's previously the founder and CEO of an online retailer of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu apparel that he founded in 99 at age 19 and ran until he started ShipHero. All right, Aaron, you ready to take us to the top?
Yes, sir.
All right. What does the company do and how do you guys make money?
So ShipHero is a SaaS product. We serve e-commerce companies and 3PLs. 3PLs are third-party logistics companies who ship for e-commerce companies. We make money by charging monthly SaaS.
Monthly. Is it pure SaaS or is there like a marketplace play as well?
Our revenue is almost all from SaaS. We do drive some revenue to our 3PLs and we get a little money off it, but it's not significant compared to the SaaS revenue.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. And so on average, like what do companies pay you per month? And then can you paint the picture of a company paying you and how they're using you?
Yeah. So it varies pretty widely, especially because we had legacy customers. We used to start and serve smaller customers, so we still have a bunch. Average customer pays us about $1,500 a month.
Okay.
But our 3PLs generally are paying us between $5,000 and $10,000 a month because they have a lot of more shipments. They're shipping for a lot of merchants. Versus if someone was shipping on their own in their own warehouse, they might be paying us $500 or $700 a month.
Okay. And so someone paying you $1,500 a month versus, $5,000 a month, what do you price against? Is it like number of boxes shipped or square footage or what?
Just seats.
It's just one angle, just pure how many seats?
Yeah. Well, 3PLs, we charge for seats.
What's a 3PL,
storage.
by the way?
So third-party logistics company. So let's say you make socks. You don't want to ship out of your basement, you outsource it. So those guys use our software and then they give you a log on to use our software as well. But you don't have to pay us. The 3PL pays for your subscription as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, and put this on a timeline for me. When did you launch the company?
So we started on it, nights and weekends, me and my co-founder, about 2013. Got first customer really like 2015. And then about 2017, we started to get some like real traction.
In 2015, that first customer, tell me that story. Who'd you have to bribe to get them in?
Right. Well, so our real first, so I had an e-commerce company. So that was actually a friend of mine was customer one. My own company was customer two. Those were
the
easy.
Jiu-Jitsu one?
Yeah. So those were the easy ones. My friend was company Wine Chateau. They're still a customer. They got a bunch of retail stores and they ship wine and spirits. We actually, early days, we spoke to so many people. The one that I regret so much is Fashion Nova. Have you ever heard of Fashion Nova?
No, but I assume they're big now.
Fashion Nova is huge. They're like Cardi B is like their influencer. I think they're like top 3 Shopify store in the world.
Why didn't they sign up?
We spoke to the CEO like several times. It was like super early days. The product was so narrow. We spoke to him. I think he did trial it, but like, I don't know. I remember chatting with him about like his vision and it was like Nasty Gal back then. He's like, oh, we're going to be like Nasty Gal, like way bigger than Nasty Gal. I think Nasty Gal shut down or something. But yeah, whatever. They just didn't go with us and they were, yeah.
So tell a story of one or two that you closed. Like how are you getting your first couple dozen customers?
So Shopify App Store was the first few. Not anymore, but that was in the early days. It was like a barren wasteland out there for if you needed software. I remember talking to the head of BizDev then, BizDev or the App Store. It was like all combined. They were much smaller then. And I said, hey, we're building this product and it's got all this automation and you could use iPads in the warehouse and it's going to serve your bigger customers. And we're like, people that are doing a few hundred orders a day at least. He's like, yeah, we don't have those customers. You're in the wrong spot. Shopify back then only had the tiny, tiny customers. But as they were growing and they got those bigger customers, there was no one to serve them.
So how did you position yourself in the App Store to make sure they found you? Like, was there keyword ranking or metadata stuff that you did to optimize or reviews?
Yeah. So back then it was purely based on reviews, which makes it hard to start. So like ShipStation's been around forever and they're the kind of industry default. They have way more reviews. So it's hard. So we'd only get the people who like got through the first few and they didn't meet their needs, they'd come to us. Yep. So we always people had hard problems.
Yep, that's interesting. And how many customers have you scaled to today?
So people that pay us directly, so not counting the merchants or the 3PL, around 300.
But you would count one PSL as one, right?
Right, one 3PL would be one, even though they might have 200 sub-merchants.
Yeah.
That would be one.
So Aaron, I mean, can I multiply there? Can I take 300 times $1,500 a month? That puts you at like 450 grand a month in revenue.
Yeah, we're like, we don't disclose exactly, but in like the 5 million ARR ballpark.
5 million. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so right around there then. Yeah. Fair enough. Good. And then help me understand growth. So if you're around that today, where were you back, a year ago?
Well, so 2018, we were 2.6x 2017.
Okay.
This year, story still to be told, but hopefully similar-ish.
Well, do you know where you finished 2018 at? So if you're at a 5 million run rate today, what were you at, like 4.5 or 4?
I don't remember exactly, but our business is somewhat seasonal in that Q4 is when we get most of our growth because people are ramping for getting prepared for holidays.
Okay. So if you look at where you're at today and you go back 12 months, obviously that takes in the holiday season of 2018.
It's around the same. It's around that 0.6x.
You said 0.6x?
2.6x.
Oh, 2.6x. Okay, so you're more than doubling. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so maybe like I'm making this at like 200 grand a month, right? About a year ago. Now you're at like 450, something like that.
Something like that.
Is most of the growth coming from adding new logos or getting more and deeper engagement from your current ones?
More from the current ones. Most of our growth is from existing customers.
Yeah, so that's rare. Most people drive growth from adding new customers. So talk to me about your secrets of customer engagement. Once they start paying, how do you get them to double, triple, quadruple what they're paying you?
Well, so one interesting approach for us is to market to these 3PLs is really tough. It's a challenge we're trying to figure out. How do we get these 3PLs to know we exist? So what's been happening so far is a merchant will be familiar with our software and they'll go to a 3PL and they'll be like, all right, well, I want to outsource to you. And they'll look at the 3PL software and they're like, the software sucks. Try ShipHero, it's better software. So what the 3PL will do is they're like, all right, I'll try ShipHero just for you, right? So we only get one merchant to start. Mm-hmm. So they sign up and they're like, we'll just do it for this one merchant. And then, because it's a lot of friction to change existing people. And then what'll happen is if we're doing a good job, as they get new customers who don't care what software they're on, they don't know any software in advance, they'll put them on our software. So we start growing from the minimum you could pay as a 3PL is $1,000 a month. So you'll start at $1,000 a month, and then you might get to 5 or 8 or 10,000 over the next couple of years, just by adding more users. So we just got to get our foot in that door.
Interesting. All right, and talk to me about how you've built this in terms of funding. So have you bootstrapped or raised?
So I put in the first cash from my previous company. Once we hit, which was 1.2 million that I put in my own money. Once we hit around 100K MRR, I got some friends and family on Safe Notes for like 435,000 from them.
Okay.
And then 2 months ago, we borrowed some money from a company called Lighter Capital.
Yeah.
So we borrowed 800 grand from them.
Was that on a term loan or revenue-based financing?
Yeah, so they say they do revenue-based financing, and I had spoken to them, and I said, I don't want to do revenue-based financing. I want a term loan. And then they gave me a term loan.
Why didn't you go to an SVB or a Saas Capital, which typically can give you cheaper term loans than Lighter?
Yeah, so I spoke to Saas Capital and Lighter. Saas Capital, I spoke to them and they didn't get back to me. They did have a lower cost of capital, but they wanted warrants.
Yep.
Lighter Capital, it was like 3 weeks from when I said I want money on a term loan until I had money in my bank.
Yep.
There was like almost no time to talk to someone else. They did a great job of keeping the momentum. The price was reasonable. It was probably 2 or 3 points more than Saas Capital would have been. But A, I don't even know if Saas Capital would give me the money in the end. And
sorry,
B,
so hold on. The total
easy.
vehicle was 800 from Lighter?
Yeah.
And what was it typical, like 4, 5, 6% of gross monthly receipts? Oh, no, you did term loan.
No,
sorry. So
I'm
what was
doing a term loan?
Yeah. Sorry. So what interest rate did they just arrange?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to say because, they don't typically do that. I did sign something when I did it. Well, it was, I'll say between 10 and 20%.
Yeah, I don't want to get you in trouble, but they have talked about this publicly somewhere where they shared like ranges of what they would do on a term loan. The reason.
So it was
at
it was like it was a quarter point above what they said the bottom end of the range was when they spoke to me. I don't know what they publish.
Yeah. So that's fair. Somewhere between 10 and 20% is fine. And that is the true cost of capital, right? Are there any, there's no warrant coverage, no PG, no personal guarantee, no covenants.
No, at the end of 3 years, like if I never want to talk to them again, that's fine. It's 3-year term. So it's like fantastic. Unlike anything else where you're kind of stuck with them because you got warrants or you got a board seat. No board seat, no warrants. Only weird bit was I had to get life insurance for myself. But
what?
Yeah. I was like, wait, what? But yeah, apparently because like Keyvan life insurance, that pays them. So
that's interesting.
$800K if I die. So.
That's so funny. Okay, good. So all in equity wise, not including your own money and not including ladder, you raised 435 from friends and family.
Ooh, I lost you there for a second.
Aaron, is that right? Just 435 from friends and family. That's it?
Yep.
Yeah. The rest is your money or lighter. That's great. Do you think venture debt makes sense for a lot of people today?
Debt's always cheaper than equity. If you think you're going to be successful, debt is always cheaper.
Yeah. What's your team size today? How many folks?
41 people.
41. That's amazing. And then churn's obviously critical in this space. Now, I'm really curious to understand this because it sounds like this number is going to be very large for you. When you look at what your expansion revenue is on the cohort that signed up a year ago, what is the expansion typically? I
don't have that number. So we have negative net churn.
How negative?
I want to say it's like 2% a month, but I don't. That's really me guessing. I haven't looked in a while.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Do you know what gross churn is before you add back expansion? Like, are you losing like 10% a year or something?
It's actually really small on anyone who's gone live. So for us, the challenge is always get a customer to go live. Once we get customers to go live, it's less than 1% a month that churn out. Mm-hmm. And then, the expansion much more than makes up for that.
Yep.
I don't know the raw number.
Yeah. So call that, worst case 12%, right? Revenue churn annually, right? A percentage point a month.
It's probably closer to 6.
Oh, great. Okay, fair enough. So 6%, and then it sounds like again, if you're pushing, negative, 2% a month, or that would be negative 24%. That's the same as saying 124% net revenue retention, which means your expansion revenue there's got to be about 30 points. That's good.
Your math sounds reasonable, but yeah.
No, it's good. Talk to me about how you incentivize your sales team. Do you have CS reps that are quota carrying to drive more usage?
No. So we're trying to figure this out. So both sales, we hired our first salesperson in September. So whatever that was, like 8 months ago. But we have no SDRs. And we don't actually have a marketing team. My co-founder was running customer success. So he moved into starting marketing last month. Mm-hmm. So we've been just really product focused and reliant on word of mouth, which is not, the long-term strategy. We want to have a sales and a growth strategy. It's just, we've been able to get away without it.
Yeah. Are you profitable today? Or are you burning?
No, we're profitable. Well, so now that we took the money from Lighter, we'll dip into the negative this month, but for the entire last year, we were profitable.
How aggressive will you be in pursuing that growth? So are you cool burning like 20 grand a month or 100 grand a month? Like obviously you're fully in growth, but how aggressive will you be?
And we're going to burn all the money that we got from Lighter. And then, once we get down to a few months of runway, we'll decide what we want to do. But, we're lucky enough that we're growing fast enough that, to put on the brakes if we're starting to run out of capital. We don't have to fire people. We just have to stop hiring new people.
Yeah.
We're going to play it by ear. We're not.
But how cool are you in terms of how cool are you cool with burning 50K a month since you just brought in 800 from Lighter? I'm just trying to get your risk threshold.
Yeah. Okay. In the beginning, our max burn will probably be around 90 or 100K as we kind of mapped out what we're going to spend on money. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's perfect. I mean, that makes perfect sense with, you just got 8 months of runway essentially, right? After you actually get to that burn level. Very good. And then what do you think that capital will help you get to? Once you deploy the 800K, you grow, you let the systems take shape. You think you can double the company, triple it?
We think we could a little bit more than double without it. We think we can. We're using that money to focus on some longer term improvements. It's not really focused on growth. We're not hiring salespeople or stuff like that. It's some more product stuff that we kind of long term stuff we wanted to do. We just didn't have with dealing with short-term stuff takes all your resources. So
Yeah. Last question here on aggressiveness. So to bring in one of these new $1,500 a month customers, I mean, are you happy to pay 1 year of ACV to acquire them, or what payback period do you like to optimize for?
Yeah, so we don't because we don't have that marketing organization. We haven't done any of those numbers. Like the lifetime value is probably really good with a negative net churn, and it's a decent customer size. But we haven't done the math. We also have to get those customers live, right? So like if we bring a customer in and they sign on the dotted line, but they don't actually go live, then like they're not going to generate any revenue.
Well, you just don't count them as a customer,
right? Okay, yeah. So we don't have those numbers.
So you really don't. So that I mean, that's so interesting. You truly, I mean, some people like bullshit me. They're like, no, we really have no sales, no marketing. It's just like magic. We just like magically grow. We're not really sure how it happened, but we have a great product and it's word of mouth. I mean, that's basically what you're telling me. Well,
it's not ideal because you can't
put the pedal to the metal. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. No. So we're trying to figure out, like we haven't taken VC, but we get inbound interest sometimes. Usually we don't talk to them, but sometimes there's someone who has a connection to us. So we're like, all right, we'll talk. And
why were you cool coming on my show, by the way, out of curiosity?
One more time.
Why were you cool coming on?
I don't know. You asked again. That's what I asked. I was like, fuck it. I'll just
persistence, baby.
Yeah, that's basically all it was. Yeah. Because I usually don't do a lot.
This is great, dude. You should tell your story more.
Thanks. So when we talk to VCs, that's the thing that I always tell them, which is like, yeah, you guys are saying we'll give you a bunch of money. I don't know what I can turn that money into because I don't have a formula for growth where X dollars equals Y customers. I need to figure that out before I take any more serious money.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, man, let's wrap up with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Toby Luque from Shopify.
Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building your company besides Shopify?
I like this tool called Twist, which is kind of like a non-interrupting version of Slack. I like to have focused work, so I like Twist.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep you get every night?
I get a lot. I have a newborn, so not so much right now. I have a 4-week-old, but yeah, I'm good at getting
like 8 hours usually.
Yeah.
All right. So, and it sounds like married and 1 kiddo, or do you have more?
3. I'm just on my 3rd.
Ooh, 3 kids.
The trilogy.
Holy mackerel! And how old are you?
39.
All right. Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
My 20-year-old self spent way too much time playing online video games, so probably do a little less of that. I think the other thing would be you have a lot of energy then, and I probably did a lot of work that was utterly useless, had very low return, just because I'm like, I'll just work and work and work. And I probably should have just spent a little more time like thinking when I didn't have anything really important to do.
Guys, there you have it. ShipHero has gotten to a $5 million run rate on just $435,000 raised. Aaron, the founder, has put in $1.2 million himself, and they just took another $800K from Lighter Capital, which is nice. Again, growing rapidly here, about call it 2.5x year over year across 300 customers, paying $1,500 a month. Founded in 2013. It might raise capital in the future, but only after Aaron figures out how to actually build a scalable sales organization. A lot of the growth today has been word of mouth, which is again a nice place to be. Aaron, thanks so much for taking us to the top.
Thank you.